Welcome to the Teach Big podcast, where big energy, big ideas, and big results are just the beginning. I'm your host, Randy Whitney, and whether you're in year 1 or year 20, we are here to fuel your passion and help you teach big. That's right, B-I-G in every way. Here, education is inspired, energy is required, and support for teachers is absolutely non-negotiable. Whether you're driving to work, prepping your classroom, or catching a quiet moment after a long day, thank you so much for spending time with us. I would greatly appreciate you liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing so that you too can become a part of the Teach Big family. This is actually part 3. It was so inspirational. Through part 1, we went into part 2. Part 2 was so good. We thought, we need to really include more of our studio audience, and our studio audience is made up of teachers, educators, administrators from a very special school, very dear to my heart, called TVAH. It is the Texas Virtual Academy of Hallsville, and we had a couple of administrators in episodes 1 and 2. We have an additional administrator today. I'll introduce her in just a minute. But guys, the virtual teachers just have my heart. They have my heart big. And so I really think it's interesting and intriguing and heartfelt to hear what they have to offer so many students that may not fit into a traditional brick and mortar. Please help me welcome Kyla Pickrell. Tell me a little bit about what you do. I know that you're the Senior Executive Director of TVAH, but tell me a little bit, not just what you do, but how you got here. Where did your heart start growing for virtual learning?
So it was a funny story. I was standing in my neighborhood little get-together on the road one night, and I heard this teacher walk up and say something about this virtual school, and we were amongst several teachers, and I thought it was fake. I was like, this can't be real. You can't just sit in your house and teach virtually. Yeah, that's not a real thing. And I just didn't say much in the conversation, and I immediately ran home and I started Googling, and I was like, is this real? I want to teach at home. Let's do this. And about a day later, I found all the stuff and I applied to be a 7th grade social studies teacher.
Wait, one day later after you heard about it?
Yes.
And you didn't think it was
sold.
real?
I was like,
wow.
I gotta find out if this is a thing.
Wow, that was quick.
And that was like May. And so I got, pretty quickly, I got a thing. They used to do this thing where everybody would come in and they would have hundreds of people that would come in and they'd tell you about the school, and they kind of try to scare you. And so they tell you everything about it. One of them was that you might work some summer days. And so, like, you saw the room drop off when they said that.
That's funny.
So I was like, well, I mean, I want to work 8 to 5. I want to work virtual. Let's see what this is all about. So I put my application in after that. And in August, I got a call to come in and interview. And so I came in and interviewed, and next thing you know it, I got an offer. And so in 2013, I started teaching, and I loved it. There were only 2 7th grade social studies teachers at that time. So anybody that's here now knows that is not the case now. And so I was one of the 2 social studies teachers, and over the next few years, I worked my way up. I was the lead, then I was the assistant principal. Next thing you know it, I'm principal. And then I took an executive director job, and now I'm the senior executive director of TVAH. And through all of that, I learned how to work with teachers in a way that is amazing. Teachers is my passion. But the students, you saw these students who had been left behind in so many ways. My background is social work. I worked for CPS. I was a house parent. And it feels like a previous life now. But I saw all these kids in the roles I had done before I came, who had been disadvantaged, who had been left behind, who people didn't care about, who they were too much trouble to deal with. And when I came into this, I was seeing the same thing. I saw these kids who were years and years behind, and people didn't know how to deal with them, didn't want to deal with them. Right. I always say we have the 10% of the 10% of kids that are left behind somewhere else. And so we had to be innovative.
That's powerful.
We had to see, how do we reach these kids in a way that they've never been reached before? How do we say, I know you don't think that you can do it, but we're going to find a way to reach you when you've already given up on yourself. And maybe you haven't been here for the last week because we have kids that learn in their closets. We have kids that their parents aren't home. We have kids that they don't think they'll ever walk across that graduation stage. And we're going to drill down as a team, and we're going to figure out, what do you need and how do we get you there? And maybe you're never going to go to college. We don't care. What do you want, and how can we get you to that goal? Wow. And our team drills down and gets you there. Have you been in prison? I don't care. How can we make sure that you don't go back? And we give you the tools to make sure you can be successful. You can't read? Let's teach you. I don't care if you're in 9th grade. I don't care if you're 21 and in 8th grade.
Even more so.
Let's figure out how to
really
get you this.
Yeah.
So that's our passion every day. We get up, and our school has grown. When Hallsville started, I think we were at, 2,000 kids, then 5,000 kids, then 15,000 kids. And it just keeps growing because parents choose to find somewhere that'll listen to them. Mm-hmm. And we don't do it perfect every day, but we strive to get up and find a way to do it better.
So good. Man, I'm not even sure how to follow that exactly, but that was really, really good. And I just really appreciate not just you guys being here and yearning for more training. Because when people come to the ranch to learn more and have trainings, lots of teachers do that. They want to make themselves better. And I hope that I can always pour in to teachers who come here for training. But I'm going to be very honest here, very transparent. I feel like this week I've been poured in too. Not that other teachers don't. They always pour into me. I always find, oh, wow, that was inspirational. But it's like every conversation, every moment, every encounter, all of you guys, when you've shared stories with me or in the way you've said thank you, and it's just something really, really sincere, something very, very deep. And so yeah, is there anything else you want to share with us about this amazing experience before we kind of start asking some questions of your team?
We're not done innovating education. We don't believe that what has always been done is the way it has to be done. We want to look at students and say there is no box. Let's figure out how to go outside of the box and meet every kid exactly where they're at. And I think that every day we continue to strive to figure out what is the next level of innovation. We don't believe that it's done. And that's one of the things that we try to do every single day.
What is so amazing to me also, and you've probably already picked up on it, that Kyla was not here yesterday with us. She's joining us today in the middle of a week-long training. And you've already said several things that piggybacked off of yesterday's podcast, and you didn't even know it. That shows the authenticity of what you guys are doing. Yeah, I like that a lot.
We share a heart and a
100%.
Commitment and a passion. And not to discount anyone's passion, but the amount of time and energy and effort and thought and intention that are poured into every interaction with those kids is just phenomenal. And it speaks to what these people do every day. So
day in and day out.
It's incredible.
And we have a large team, and we're a family. We get up every single day, and we work together congruently. Like, we're doing this as one functioning team on the same path, in the same boat, rowing the same direction. And we try to make sure it goes all the way down to the bottom. Like, if my administrators aren't happy, then my students aren't going to be happy. And we pour into each other to make sure that happens. And every decision we make is to make sure that 20 years from now, our students are still being served, and they're still being served with excellence.
That's good. That's good stuff. I mean, that's amazing. And, a teacher's heart, I'm always amazed by teachers' hearts and what they give. And if you really ask teachers, what could make you stay in the profession forever? Honestly, it's not money. You knew the money getting into it.
No.
Nobody advertises, hey, get into teaching, there's $1 million, and then you're disappointed. You already know that. But what keeps us here is the support of administrators like you guys have for your team, and then the filling up that kids give us that keeps us going to the next moment, that inspirational, oh my gosh, I made a difference. I'm supposed to be doing this. And that making a difference piece is paramount to me as an educator. So even sometimes when I'm educating grownups, when I see on a face that I've made a difference, I'm like, yes, that's why I do what I do. And that's what I hear you guys reiterating over and over and over. All right, so studio audience, have a question for you. Is there anyone who would like to share an aha moment that you've had during your virtual teaching experience? Has there been anything that you thought, oh, I did not expect that part? Any aha moments? Any inspirational moments? All right, right here. We'll get you a microphone.
Okay.
And start out by telling us which grade level you contribute to and teach to.
I teach 8th grade.
Okay.
I contribute most to 8th grade, but I work with the middle school mostly.
Okay.
My aha moment was I had a student, I think it's about 2-3 years ago. He was hyper-focused on one topic, World War II. And when he gets to 8th grade, he's like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to learn all about World War II. It's going to be great. And I felt so bad that first day. I went through what we're teaching, and I had to disappoint him. And I felt so bad. And so I was like, what can I do to draw him back into something this century or this time period that I'm teaching? And I was like, but we're not doing World War II. We're doing Civil War, though. He's like, what's that? And I'm like, I sent him all this stuff about the Civil War, books to read, go to the library, all this stuff. And he's like, that's another war. And I said, yeah. And he's like, all diving into it. And then by the time we get to Civil War, it's second semester, and I did this beginning of the year, he became my teacher assistant. He knew all the facts, he knew the things, and it just showed me that connected to something they love.
Smart.
Just connected, and it can spark such a passion, such an interest. And with being virtual, I can send them a link to a website. Like I don't in person. I could but I couldn't.
Right.
And, I can send him virtual field trips to the Gettysburg battlefield, and it was his passion was sparked, and so he became my teacher's assistant when we got to Civil War. He could name all the battles. He could name the generals, and he could tell fun facts about them. And my other students were just like, "Man, he knows so much. Did he already take this class?" And I was like, "No, Miss Lancaster gave me."
Right.
Stuff at the beginning of the year. And so it was just an aha moment to build a passion.
That is really neat. I love that. And I really hadn't thought about when you said I could send him links to a virtual field trip. Oh, what a cool exposure. What neat extra exposure. Oh, that's a great idea. That's really neat. Thank you for sharing that. Great story.
To add to that, one of the things that, or one of the positives of having what we have is that students may never experience that in their environment that they're in, but we are able to extend their exposure outside of their environment. So we are making those connections. We are making it relevant,
You really
but in
are.
a different way. So that is so great.
I love that. Thank you. Anyone else want to share a moment? All right, right over here. Hold it pretty close to your mouth. Yeah.
So piggyback off what Kyla said about like the kids who I teach 8th grade, by the way, English, who come to you and don't know how to read. So this year I had one who was pretty illiterate, but she had a passion for learning. So I took it upon myself. I taught elementary for a little while, but phonics is not my thing at all. But I did a lot of research on phonics. I worked with her, took time, we scheduled one-on-ones. I helped to try to improve her reading. So she went from like a kindergarten to a 3rd grade level. And so now she has a real passion. Her comprehension skills have improved so much. And her goal now is to want to be an English teacher. So her mom always is calling me, sending me texts about how inspiring that I was, and that was something that they needed for her because she needed that one-on-one time to show that improvement that she needed.
You changed her life.
So impactful.
And if she does become a teacher, and hopefully she does, she'll change other people's lives. So your decision to do a little extra research just affected generations. So you made a generational change, not just her. It doesn't stop with her. The work you just did affects people you'll never meet. That's pretty neat stuff right there. Something else you tagged off on, or I'm going to tag off on, is you said you scheduled a one-on-one. So in the virtual, tell me about that. I didn't realize that was a piece of the puzzle you could do.
So I'm 8th grade, and I also do special education. So I you can book me link for when my kids need extra tutoring, extra support. And they can go in there and they'll book a time that's available off of my calendar, and they'll be like, oh, I need tutoring. And they tell me their subject they need help with. And then they'll come there and prepare. I do it with my content kids as well as my HR kids, my homeroom kids. If they're struggling, if they're behind any subject, I'll try to help them in. Because I do have a content knowledge, but I always let them know science is not my strong suit.
Book me for anything but that.
Math are more my jam, but science, I'll try to help you, and I'll do my own research. So they know that they can reach out to me if they need anything.
I love that because, that's also connecting to the real world that we live in. How many times do we have to get on a website, look at a calendar, schedule an event, schedule when we're going to go somewhere, or if we need to, schedule a doctor's appointment? That is so real life. And they're learning that vicariously through that experience where you're trying to get them to schedule for tutoring. But the real bigger picture is this is a real life skill. We need to know how to go on the computer, look at a calendar, select a time and an event. And so that's double file learning. I like it.
As we grow in what we're doing, we're learning more and more that kids don't just need whole group classrooms and even small group tutoring. They need to choose when they can learn, take control of their own learning. And in a brick and mortar, we did that, like make learning goals and learn. But now we're seeing don't just schedule 4 days a week of teaching, have 1 or 2 days and then have choices. And teachers can book out how many choices kids have. Can you book me here, here, and here? And where they're specifically having trouble, they can go in and say, question 2 on unit 1, lesson 2, I need your help. And so we're trying to build in for next year even more of those opportunities so that parents aren't experts, especially I had a kiddo. He did this too for some time. And I was not an Algebra 1 expert. Mom was a middle school teacher. When we got to high school math, Mom needed some help. So I needed somebody who could help him in those areas. These parents need the same thing. Now some of these parents, by 5th grade math, they're done.
They're out.
So we need these kids to be able to take that responsibility and go get that help. And so we want the teachers to have the time in their schedule to be able to help the kids in that fashion.
That's giving them an ownership in their own learning.
Yes. And when they go to college, a lot of classes are going to be online if they want to. If they're in the real world, they need to be able to email their boss and ask for help.
Amen.
What do you do that doesn't have a test? I know none of us love tests all the time, but if you're going to be a real estate agent, you've got to take a test. If you're going to be a truck driver, you have to take a test. So you need to learn how to ask for help when you're studying for those real life events.
Oh, I love it. Such a real life application all the way through. Love it. Anybody else want to share a neat experience? Oh, good. Tell us your grade level and hold the microphone kind of close.
5th grade resource inclusion SPED teacher. So I have a student who has cancer, and she is in a very she's in the hospital. She's been living in the hospital for a very long time, and she's in very critical conditions the majority of the time. And for her to be able to be online, to be able to participate while she's still in hospital, and being able to, talk to other students and just being around, this kind of environment for her, it really does motivate her. And, with I'm tearing up a little bit because this kiddo has been like an inspiration to me. I would talk to her mom and she's like, this is something that she wants to do. Like she just, every single time she's ready, she's able to, she goes in and listen. She may not participate as much depending on the day, but when she is okay, she participates. And with all the work that we do for school, for our OLS lessons, she managed to do them even probably better than the kids that that are there, because she always wants to try. And the great thing about our school, about online school, is that kids who are having those health issues and those anything that has to do with home life or taking care of someone, they are able to get their education. They're able to take a stand on their education and what they want to learn and how they want to proceed in life with the circumstances, with the issues and all these things that they're going through in their household, in their health, in their environment. So I think for me, something like that really inspired me to love this school a lot, because there are a lot of those kind of circumstances in our students, and you get inspired by it every day.
Something you said several things. You've had lots of golden nuggets right there. One of the things I love, you said that it gives students an opportunity to take a stand on their own education.
Yes.
That's really, really powerful to me. They have choices. You're giving them choices that were not on the platter prior.
Yes.
I think that's really important. Another thing you said that really struck me is you're talking about this young, sweet lady who, this girl in a very dire situation. Without you, without this school, without this situation, imagine how isolated she would feel. And you're connecting her to kids, to yourself, to education, letting her have some control over something, because in her life right now, there's so much that's out of her control. You're giving her something that she has some control over. You said that her projects sometimes are better than everyone else's. She has control over that. And what a good feeling you're providing for her, and providing this opportunity for her to not feel isolated. She doesn't have to feel like she's sick that day.
And I just want to add as well too, that I wish she lives close to me, but there's actually other teachers that lives close to her that actually have visited her. Oh. And then so, and then I've given her, a care package and all that stuff. And I did too, give her a care package as well too. And I would hope that someday I would go to her town and be able to visit her. But she has had teachers from our school visited her in the hospital because she lives so close.
And that's an important piece too, that yes, you guys are virtual, but I know over the last few days when we've been doing training, you've brought up examples of how you've gotten to meet up with students in different circumstances, the face-to-face. And then we talked about graduation, and we talked about prom, and we talked about different face-to-face interactions. So virtual school is not only through this screen, and I think that is a misconception of it sometimes, but it goes beyond that screen. That's another example of that.
Our community definitely has expanded. So we're not just in your little area. You
Right.
have a community that stretches across the state.
And we are able to serve so many different kiddos. We have a lot of kids that have special needs, and I was that kiddo. I have autoimmune issues, and I was on homebound, and I actually had to get my GED when I was in high school because they could not
So you
serve
really
me.
understand this.
And I've talked to so many parents that I've helped them lay out a plan of how to help their kiddo get through this because I wasn't able to. And so this is a day and age where there are options that you can choose for your kiddos that are sick and cannot get through an 8-hour school day with the conditions that they have. And so we want families to know that we will work a plan with you that helps your kid to be able to get that diploma in their hand, even when on a daily basis they can't get out of bed.
Wow. That's really powerful. And it's powerful that you have that very personal perspective.
And we have a lot of teachers that have that perspective because just because you're sick doesn't mean that you're not smart and that you don't have something to contribute to society.
Right.
And so it may be a temporary thing that you just need to get over a hump, or it could be something that you need to learn to cope with for the rest of your life, but you still have something to contribute.
You matter.
You matter.
There's value.
Every
Matter.
kid
Where's
matters.
Maddie? There she is. There she is. So thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so just to tag on to what you're saying, I teach 7th grade math, and you're saying it's not just through a screen.
Right.
And I think that is the immediate reaction, is that online school is not tangible. It's
Right.
not
Right.
solid, right? But I had a real aha moment one day in class when my student logged in and told me, jumped right on the mic and said, "Mr. Ogden, somebody's breaking into my house right now." Now, I immediately pulled this student into a private breakout room, and I was his rock in that moment. And the aha moment was that our school was the foundation of stability in this student's life. The person breaking into his house was his sister's drug dealer, and you could literally hear the crashing. And this student needed me because he knew he could rely on me every day at that time.
Wow.
He had already called the police, but he got off the phone with them because he needed who
You.
he trusted in his life. And that's who we are for these kids.
Wow.
Consistency.
You said a couple things there. I love that how you said we are often the foundation of their stability and having those connections with kids. And so you were able, let's explore it if you don't mind. So you were able to talk a little bit with him and comfort him, I assume, and make him feel safe. You were his foundation.
Yeah, I mean, I basically took on the role of what you would imagine a 911 operator to do. I stayed there. I kept him calm. I kept him talking. I made sure that he moved himself into a safe place. He locked the door behind him. He was hidden. And I stayed connected
With
to him until the police were there.
Wow. You know, and that makes me think too, if virtual school was not an option for that kiddo, what would he have been doing at that time? You know, would he have wound up being hurt? Would he have, you know, not seen school as a feasible option? Would he have been a part of the bad guy stuff? You know, you gave him the stability and that foundation and the comfort, the safety. I had not thought about that until just now. You gave me an aha moment. You said it was an aha moment for you. You gave me an aha moment because I hadn't thought about that piece of the puzzle. We talked a little bit in, I think it was part 2, maybe it was part 1, I don't remember now, but how we're affecting not just that one kid that's logged on, but there was a story in, I think, part 2, where a sweet ESL mama was listening in on the lesson, and she later came back and thanked the teacher for, I learned from you. I learned from you too. So that teacher was teaching the student that she was designed to teach, but she was also teaching the mama.
Yeah.
And that reaching beyond just, okay, here's my kid on the screen. That's what I keep hearing. That seems to resonate over and over and over. We're reaching out bigger and at different levels, like we talked about, than ever before.
My framework was from my own perspective. And as a middle school student, I was a boy staring out the window, daydreaming about being anywhere else, right? Cliche.
Sure.
But I realized that a lot of my students are somewhere else wishing they were in school.
Wow.
I never even thought about children having that mentality that their life, whether it's medical issues or just a lack of stability or an uncertainty from day to day, they want to be where we are. They can't, but they can get the connection and they can develop that stability through the routine that our school provides.
Wow. That is really neat. I like that a lot. Do we have somebody else who would like to share? Yes, right here. Tell us what grade level and hold the microphone super close.
So I'm the academic behavior campus administrator, and this
Ooh, I can't wait to hear stories from you.
That's what everyone says. I have good stories to sell.
I bet you
That's
do.
amazing.
I bet you do.
Talking as what Kyla was talking about innovations, this year we have opened our first virtual DAP program in the state of Texas.
I was hoping we'd get to that.
We have done this. It is a passion project for our superintendent. He strongly believes on this, and I have gotten behind him as well in this process. But the students that we've seen, we are definitely their last resort. We have taken on a lot of students who have been expelled and not expelled to JJP or DAP, just expelled and you are not to go to school for a year, which we don't believe in because it's going to get them farther behind. We currently have a senior. She just emailed us the other day. I was telling the ladies here, I was in tears with it. She had 10 courses on her file to be able to graduate. She had been expelled from her school. She thought she was going to have to wait another year before she could graduate. She's already 18, pushing 19 years old. She spent the year with us. She got social work and counseling is 2 big things I wholeheartedly believe on that they need, because we are not just going to keep the pattern that's moving on. We are going to get to the root of it, and we are going to help them deal with their trauma backpack that's on them. And she passed all of her classes, and she is graduating. She just finished up. She'll be done, and we are so excited for her. But she emailed us and she said, I thought I was done for. I'm going to get emotional. She's like, everybody had given up on me, and you guys didn't give up on me. I am so appreciative of it. And she goes, and I made it hard for you to give up on me. I made things difficult coming in here, but I wanted one more chance, and I fought you, but you didn't give up on me, and you kept pushing me. She showed up every day like she was supposed to. They have to, my program's a little bit more strict. They have a specific time they have to come in. They have to be on camera. They have to participate because there is that discipline portion to it.
Sure.
But she did it, and she's like, I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it. I might have had an angry face on me, but I did it, and I came in, and I succeeded, and I am actually going to have a high school diploma, which I didn't think was an option after she did it. And one thing we really instate in our students is you made a bad choice. You are not a bad person.
That's right.
We all make bad choices, but that doesn't make it who we are.
And we have a licensed practical counselor on staff.
I was about to ask some questions about that. Thank you.
We have a whole counseling team, and it's required in that program, and we hope to expand that further in the future. But these kiddos come with a lot of trauma, and we want to make sure that we are giving them all the tools that they need to be successful. Like I said earlier, these kids are that 10% of the 10%, and we don't give up on kids.
Do you also notice that everything we're talking about, I own early childhood preschool, and we've talked about it before in the podcast that you do three things. Number one, you keep them physically safe. Number two, you love them. And number three, you teach them in that order. And not one of you said, you know what, the best lesson I ever taught was that math day when we were talking about the Pythagorean theorem. That was none of your best day. Your best day lied within keeping them physically safe, keeping them heart safe, and nobody's talked about the best lesson they ever taught. It gets there, and of course you do those things, but what I'm saying is you guys have it in the right order. You guys have it in
It's
the
like
right
if they're
order.
hungry, you can't teach them.
No, right? Absolutely.
And their hearts have to be safe first.
Maslow's theory. We got to take care of the basic needs first, of course.
And we celebrate their growth. So we have other students who have done other things and overcome other obstacles. Like we have a young man who he struggles with dealing with other people in his grade level, but because we had someone, a social worker, come alongside and help him build those skill sets, now he is aware enough to say, I need to deal with this differently, or I don't think I handled that in the best manner, or I think I need to approach this differently.
Skills.
And Sarah, she has countless numbers of these stories that are just heart stories, that those are the celebrations. Yes, we want you learning,
Of
but if we
course.
don't celebrate those little pieces, we're
we
never
won't
going to
get
get
you
there.
to the learning, right?
And it takes time to engage them sometimes because they've been let down so many times that even us calling them is trauma because they don't believe us at first.
Really?
And so you have to convince them, and sometimes it's not the first person that calls that convinces them. You have to find the right person that catches them on the right day to convince them
Got it.
that they want to learn and they want to try one more time because they've already given up on themselves. So you have to convince them that you really want to help them for them to be willing to learn.
And you probably have to do it multiple times for
Absolutely.
them to build that trust.
Yeah,
It's
they're not the
just one
traditional
time.
brick and mortar kid. So
Right.
they've been so, that trauma backpack that we were talking about,
I know, I
it's
wrote that
so
down.
full that you are fighting for them not to give up on themselves. And so we do so much work trying to get them to believe in themselves
Right.
before we can't help them anymore.
Right.
Because we don't want them to give up on themselves.
I would even go tag a little bit to that we encourage them to misstep or take risks. You know, maybe you make a mistake. That's okay.
That's okay.
We're going to guide you back up and align you with what you need to do and bring you
Right.
back to center so that you
Right.
can build that skill differently. But it doesn't mean that you can't
Right.
make a different choice or you can't get better in this subject or whatever you're trying to do.
And coping skills, I think in the world right now in general is lacking in coping skills. And I think that is a big service that you guys are providing too through your program, like what you're talking about, is providing them actionable coping skills given their situations.
And I've had multiple parents, and they say this to me. They're like, "This sounds so bad, but I am so grateful my child was put in your DAP program because they were on a path, and I didn't know how to get them off that path. And putting them in your program, we offer." Like I said, I have a licensed professional counselor. We are really getting to these roots. She's like, I can't afford that. Medicaid only offers this much, or my insurance will only offer this, and I can't get this. Well, you can have weekly. One of my students, he needed to meet with a social worker every day, and they did.
serving the full student.
Mm-hmm.
That
Wow.
is exactly what it is.
Wow. And so to reiterate, TVAH is a public school.
Yep.
It is free
Yes.
to parents because it is a public school, free and public education. And so let's get a little bit on this. That includes supplies. That
Yes.
includes, wow.
So my son did it one year, and we got a
Okay.
microscope sent to our house.
Really?
So at night around the supper table, we had the microscope sitting on the kitchen table. Me and my husband and my son are going around looking at the
Let's look
slides. And like, you bring learning into your home. Several people have said it. The whole family is learning. So you're doing it together. He would get in the car when he was in brick and mortar, and it'd be like, "What'd you learn today?" And we're so excited. And he's like, "Nothing," you know.
Yeah.
But when you're learning together at
Together.
home, you actually talk about everything you learned. And so learning became fun, and learning became something you actually talked about. You could put in your personal experiences with your kiddo. Conversations became robust, and everybody learned together.
Oh, so good. So good. All right, guys, does anyone have any other perspectives you want to share, stories you want to share? All right, I want this one right here, and I want to end with you and I. Is that good? Okay, right here. Yes, ma'am. Tell us your grade level. Hold your microphone super close.
I teach 8th grade U.S. history.
Okay.
And we mentioned earlier about how it's not just virtual, that we are able to make those in-person connections. And so we do in-person testing, and we're able to, over the last 4 years of my teaching at TVAH, I've been able to connect in person with some of my students that live in the area close to me. And so it's been really nice to be able to hug their necks and put a face with a name. And this last testing cycle, we had some third graders that were able to connect at testing. And one of them, after they got done with their test, he and his mom sat in the lobby and waited on his friend that he met while they were testing. And when the friend was done and the dad arrived, the mom and the dad were able to exchange numbers so that these two guys could get together and spend time together outside of school.
Sure.
And so they were able to make those connections with each other and
So
create
important.
an in-person friendship.
So important. That's neat. It's a neat connection that they wouldn't have had otherwise. I like that a lot. Over here, yeah.
Hi, I
Hi.
teach third grade, so opposite end of the spectrum. This happened actually last week. I had been out for a few weeks to support with our state testing, and so I came back. I hadn't seen my kids in a while. I was just doing a fun little warm-up activity if I could. They had to pick a superpower if they wanted to have. Again, super quick. And what I have loved about TVAH are the countless opportunities it has provided me to just pause and go, wow. Because in asking that simple question of, if I could have a superpower, some of my kids are, I want to be flight, I want to have invisibility, and that was great. And I had one of my students jump on and share, I already have a superpower. And I was like,
Okay.
great girl, tell me about it. And she's like, my autism is my superpower.
Oh,
and
my
I'm
heart.
gonna start shaking. And in that moment, I was so humbled to be reminded that I had the opportunity to pause, and we pivoted in that moment. And I was like, wow, you just shared something that really was so important, sweets. Let's take a minute. Who else has a superpower that they want to celebrate? Not in the fantasy world, but right now, what is your superpower?
Such a good
And so
conversation.
Then it became this conversation of, as if that wasn't enough, we had some friends share, and then one of my little guys said, my superpower is I now just try. And it's a phrase I use, just try. Like, just try.
Just try.
Just try. And his superpower was then that he just tries. And it wasn't anything super monumental, but yet it was.
But it was.
Right? Like, these kids are owning at a third grade level their incredible superpowers, which is only going to set them up for success.
Oh, so good. Celebrating what's on their insides. So good. You remind me when you say that. Yeah, I think we all got chills, right? I don't know if you've watched the show yet. I don't know. I don't want to say the network because I'll probably get it wrong because I get them all mixed up anyway. But Love on the Spectrum, I don't know if any of you watched it. That reminds me of that. And there's one sweet girl in there that she talks about her autism is how she's so special. It makes her so amazing. And I'm thinking, you know what? The people behind her that gave her that confidence, that built her up, her parents, maybe it's teachers, it's friends, whoever contributed and poured into that sweet girl to help her understand she's right. That is her superpower. Instead of something's wrong or something's different or whatever, that's what makes you cool. And I've thought, I love that. And that's what we need to do for every kid. Every single kid. What makes you super cool? I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. All right, we have one more right over here. Yes. So tell us your grade level and what you do. You're not really a grade level, but
and lots of grade levels. So
lots of grade levels.
I have the honor to serve the 3rd through 8th campus as the principal.
She's
and I
amazing.
Think what I want to share
Yes, she is.
that resonates with all the things that we've been speaking to is that at a brick and mortar, students walk through their campus doors because of a physical location, because of their address.
Mm-hmm.
Students walk through our virtual doors because of a story. And our work is knowing every student's story, where they were, where they are now, but most importantly, where they want to be, and we serve alongside them to get them there. And I think that's the most impactful aha every single day that none of us take for granted. Our students come to us because of that story, and our work is to know it, to love it, and to build it up from there.
Absolutely.
So good. So here at the ranch, if you've never been here before, we do teacher trainings, right? And so in between teacher trainings, we do lots of eating, a lot of eating. And to get to where we eat, we take little buggy rides, not like with horses, but side-by-side buggies. And we were on a buggy ride and together. And when she said that natural, I was like, oh, you got to share that. You've got to share that. That was really meaningful. Our kids don't come to us because of a physical address. They come to us because of a story. And I don't think there's a possible better way to end that. So guys, we could go on all day. We really could, but we do have more training. So we need to get back to that. But what I love about what we've done is we've shared with you guys that you may have been like me. You don't know what you don't know about virtual learning. And so this experience, there may be a parent out there that hears this someday because somebody shares the podcast, who shares it. We don't know how far reaching your stories that you shared today could change a family, could change a dynamic, could change a life, could help a kid graduate that maybe wouldn't have. The stories will never know how far reaching we reach as long as we're reaching out. We've got to reach out. We can't hold the goodness in. We have to be sharing it. So it's good. So good. So good. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. If this last message inspired you, and I'm not sure how it couldn't have inspired you, not only keep it to yourself, but remember, reach out to others, share with others, bring it back to your own classroom, virtual or brick and mortar. You're all making such huge differences. Thank you so much. And subscribe and share. Share a lot, especially with parents and families and team members and teachers, because sometimes too, teachers in brick and mortar need a different option for themselves too. You know, we've talked a lot about the students, but we haven't talked a lot about that teacher perspective and how, you know, this is the perfect way to let your teaching self out is in the virtual world. So we haven't even talked about that, but that's definitely true as well. We're on Apple, YouTube, iHeartRadio. You can also go to our website, teachbig.com, and we have all of the podcasts right there. You can go back and start on episode 1 and listen all the way through. But until next time, think big, teach big, and believe in the greatness that's within you. Thank you so much. See you next time.